east or west, home is best. If you've been following us for quite some time over here at Farm Up, this is our original farm, and I know you get excited every time you see it over here. It's quite early in the morning and we've just started feeding the birds. Ideally, I want to show you guys our morning routine right here on the farm, you know, from the time we get up to working. But well, it looks like I'm quite late already because the feeds have already been distributed, or the feeds are being distributed. When the feeds are being distributed, the birds are quite loud. But come on, let's go on inside there. You can see that this is our original farm. This is one of the structures where the guys stay. Yeah. So some of the guys stay in here, and then we have the feed mix over there. We have our fence over here, you know, made quite a while back to ensure that we have biosecurity. So yes, I'm in my overall to ensure that we are clean and good. You can see all the way down, right? Clean and beautiful overall. We have our disinfecting bath over here. We're going to use the upper floor since it has a bit more light compared to the lower floor right now. It's not yet very bright outside, so going down might mean that it might be quite dark inside there. It's going to be loud inside the houses, but hey, let's get in. All right. We'll climb. It can get quite slippery over here. Get in. And you can see the birds over here. So the feed has already been distributed. You can see that this side, the feed has already been distributed and the birds are already feeding. And this side also, the feed has been distributed, but the feeders haven't been lowered. So this is the trick to avoiding compiling in one place when feed is being distributed. You ensure that all the feed is distributed while the feeders are up, like this, and then you lower all of them in one go. Yeah? So you don't leave the feeders down, then put the feed while the feeders are down. You do that, you're going to cause yourself problems, because what that leads to is all the birds will pile in one place while they are trying to feed. This way, it's quite easy to put the feeders down. As you can see over here, he is being followed by the birds. Yeah? We'll just step away a bit. And you see him. He's literally being followed by the birds as he lowers the feeders. You see that? Yeah. And as soon as the feeder is lowered, the birds will move close. And the feeders are enough. They are well distributed and they are enough. And so the birds that don't have a feeder to feed from will keep following him until the point where we have all the feeders down. And then literally the entire house will be feeding. You need enough feeders, just enough, such that all the birds can feed at the same time. Well, it might not be all, but most of the birds, yeah? Maybe at least 90% of the birds should be feeding at the same time. That's when you know you have enough feeders. If that's not happening, then you know you don't have enough feeders. So as you can see, the birds are now equally and nicely distributed, yeah? There's not too much compacting in one place. The birds are nicely distributed all around the house. You can see our litter. It's starting to turn a little bit dusty, but hey, that's not bad, yeah? So you can see our litter inside the house. We've been reducing it a bit because it gets really heavy inside here. When the birds are pooping and everything, it gets really heavy, and you don't want the floor to get very heavy. You don't want the ground to get very heavy, because then it could collapse down. Remember that our house is constructed from timber. It's constructed from wood, as you might see. Yeah. So we try to make sure that it doesn't get very heavy. So we keep reducing it, removing some of it, we put it out, and then replace it with some fresh litter. So that's what's happening, as you can see here. And this is our drinker. It's not clean at all. Yeah. So we're going to have to clean it. There is a very nice disinfectant that can be used to clean. On our morning routine, now that the feed has been distributed, and on most days, by this time the water is also already sorted. Because remember that most of the days, the water is running through the pipes, yeah? It's not being distributed manually. Because today we are giving vitamins. On the days when we give vitamins, we do it manually. Because our tank capacity is too big. It's more than what can be given in a day. So because of that, we don't have a sub-tank to put the vitamins on. We need to make sure that we do it manually. So because of that, the process is a little bit longer on these particular days. So, but on days like this, the drinkers are being washed, and very soon you're going to be distributing the water. And once the feed and the water have been distributed, then we can step out. We can step out and let the birds continue their laying. Right now, the birds have already started to lay. You can see that the birds are laying. You can see one, for example, entering right there. You see it entering? That one is looking for somewhere to lay its eggs. They get in like that, and that one is probably coming out. So that one has probably laid an egg. Let's get close and check it out and see. You know, sometimes they just go there to examine the place, and then they get out. Let's check it out. No, there is no egg, so it hasn't laid an egg. Usually they first examine a place and look and check it out before they lay an egg. Sometimes they just go in there and, with commitment, and do lay an egg. We have another one over there that's getting in. So it's probably looking for a place to lay an egg. The place needs to be really, really dark, yeah? Or quite dark. It doesn't need to be very dark, but quite dark. I saw some of the laying boxes already have eggs. Let's move around. You can see the birds well distributed and feeding. You can see our colleague over there, Faisal, continuing to do the cleaning. The birds are quite used to people being in here, so my presence over here is not a very big distraction. If they were not used to people being in here, I wouldn't get in here because my presence then would prevent them from laying eggs, yeah? But my presence is not going to be a big distraction. So I can be present, I can move around a little bit as long as I'm not making disturbing sounds. I'm just talking, and that's normal. I'm not making a lot of disturbing sounds. So we shall be fine, yeah? So let's check out some of the laying boxes. I need to move carefully so that I don't chase out birds that are already laying. Also that I don't distract them and scare them around. No, there is no egg there. But in the lower box, I've seen an egg. I won't move the chicken away because then I'll distract it from its laying. But there are eggs inside there. And then let's move to the upper boxes. Most of the eggs are found down and not up. No egg there. We have a chicken inside there. It's laying an egg, certainly. You can see it, yeah? It's laying an egg. This one has probably been distracted. Now it's moving out without laying an egg. But it will come back, yeah? It will come back. Let's move around. Right there. You can see an egg. Can you see an egg down there? Yeah. We have an egg. That bird has laid an egg. No, it's not that bird. Another bird came and laid an egg. That one has just come in. And then we have some more eggs down there. Can you see? So the birds start laying their eggs quite early on in the morning. And then usually by 2, 3, most of them are done. Usually by 11, midday, most of the eggs have been laid. And then a few more will be laid after 1. You know, between 1 and 3, we're going to get very, very few eggs laid. Most of the eggs are laid in the morning. So right now that they are laying their eggs and that the washing of the drinkers has been done, we shall not distract them, yeah? We're just going to observe the distribution of the water inside the drinkers, and then we shall step out. Give them quite some time to continue laying their eggs, and then we shall come back in and collect the eggs. Time to distribute our water, and as you can see, the birds are now drinking. So the water will just be moved around like that, being given in a can. You can see, okay? And then he'll move over. The water is in a bucket over there. You can see the green bucket right there. So he'll pick the water up, as you can see. Then he'll bring it and distribute it inside the drinkers right there. So really, this method of distributing the water is not ideal, like I've said, yeah? It's going to be very, very labor intensive, and if the guys working inside the house cannot be trusted to do it, and you're not sure that they'll be refilling it very effectively, then you're going to be in trouble, because if the birds don't drink water, they will not lay eggs. They certainly won't lay eggs if they don't drink water. So it's very labor intensive. It's not the best, but really we don't have many options because we can't put the medication or the vitamins inside the tanks, because the tanks are too big and you can't keep vitamins there overnight, 2 nights, 3 nights, or any medication that needs to be given to the birds. You can't do that overnight, and so that will cause trouble. So because of that reason, we need to make sure that everything can be put in the smaller amounts of the water. Those tanks hold up to 1,000 liters. The birds drink less than 500 liters in a day. So because of that, we need to make sure that we medicate from down here. Like I've said, it's labor intensive, but hey, That's the only option we have to do. If we are not medicating or giving vitamins, by medicating I mean things like deworming, or if you ever need to give antibiotics, then we use the automatic drinker system. That way everything is obvious. When the birds don't have water, they will not lay eggs. They won't lay eggs without water. So we try our very best to ensure that there is water. You need to make sure that there is water full time. Water has to be present. Alright guys, so now we're going to start the raking. Of course, while continuously filling in the water. So my colleague here has started the raking. It's quite easy if you're using the right tool. As you can see, we are using a forked hoe. Faizo, do you want to just pause and we can take a look at our hoe? Okay, yeah, so over there you can see it's a forked hoe. A hoe with just forks, as you can see. You can continue, please. Yeah, and so it's very, very easy to use. You know, you just put it down and it will spread through the ground. At the beginning, the chickens get a little bit scared, but hey, they get used to it, and after just a few areas. So this central area over here is where the birds spend the night, most of them. So over here you can have some of the litter caking. I'll show you. You see this? Some of the litter cakes sometimes, as you can see. Yeah, so it's not really wet, as I can say, but in the places where the birds sleep or spend the night, it will cake because that's where most of the droppings will be, and so it's very easy for the litter to cake. So that's why you need to rake it. You need to rake it to ensure that it's continuously being turned on the outer areas where the birds don't spend a lot of time at night. For example, over here, you can see that the litter is not caked. You can see it, yeah? So this one is quite easy to peel away. It's not caked. Maybe just a little bit of caking, but generally it's not caked. You can see it, yeah? It's nice litter. But over in some areas over there, you can see that the litter is caked. So you need to make sure that you rake it continuously, yeah? Maybe every day or every 2 days, since it's quite easy. It doesn't take a very long time if you're using the right tool. If you're using a hoe, a normal hoe, it might be quite hard. If you're using a forked hoe, it becomes really, really easy. Not a rake. A rake can also work, but then it's a little bit harder, yeah? So the forked hoe is the easiest way to cake. And you can see that the birds are going around with their feeding. Of course, they're a little bit more compiled to the sides because where you're doing the raking, they will move away from there. So continuing with our raking, and then later we shall start collecting the eggs. So now we are on the lower floor. These are the birds on the lower floor. As you can see, there is a ceiling on top of me. It's very close, and it's because the litter has become too much. You know, with time, the birds keep popping and popping. So the litter here has become too much. We're going to have to reduce it. Yeah? That way my level can get a bit lower. But it's cool inside here. The ceiling is not as high as you would want it to be. But then the aeration is good enough. So as you can see the side, the aeration is good enough. So the wind blows and the intoxication gets out. So it's not a very big problem. And the birds down perform a little bit better than the ones up. Honestly, up to now we've tried and failed to figure out why. Usually the percentage is just 1 or 2% higher than the percentage which is up. So the ones up are doing 89-90%, and these ones are doing 90-91% in terms of production. The birds are maybe 46 weeks right now in laying, and we are still in the 90s, guys. This is really cool. These farm up chicks, they're doing really, really well. I'm sorry it's quite loud inside here. This is what happens when I start talking. If I kept quiet, immediately after a few seconds, the birds would go quiet. But as soon as they start talking, they get louder. The other thing that I've noticed is that the birds down finish their feed way quicker than the birds up. So they have a better appetite. That's one of the things that certainly stimulates their laying to be higher. But as you can see, the birds are feeding and they're enjoying life. Okay, let me show you the feeders. The feeders are empty. Unlike the ones up that are literally still half full, these ones are empty. Take a look at the feeder. Empty. Completely empty. Yeah? Empty. The feeders are empty. Take a look at this one. Right here we have a mixture of feeders. The yellow ones and the red ones. The yellow ones are the ones we started with at the beginning of the farm. Over here we have just a little bit of feed left, but almost nothing, you can see. Yeah? Almost nothing. And you can see our birds inside here. So they are also feeding, and you can see inside the laying boxes that we have birds that are laying. Let's move closer to the laying boxes. Yeah, you can see inside the laying boxes over there that we have birds that are laying. Let's give it a bit of time. We're going to get back a little bit later on and start collecting the eggs. Alright guys, so it's time to collect the eggs. So we shall move in and collect the eggs, yeah? So really we're just going to be witnessing the collecting of the eggs, because I don't work here, I don't work inside the houses, I don't collect eggs, so I don't want to act like I collect the eggs every day. Remember, it's the day in the life of our farm, yeah? So it's about 9 a.m, close to 9 a.m, and this is about the time we start collecting our eggs. So my colleague Faisal, we're using the upper section as the prototype for usually what happens. But it's the same thing that happens on the lower section. So we're going to go up and we're going to observe him collecting the eggs. Usually we collect the eggs and keep them in a store. We have a store over here. Let me show it to you guys. You can see our store right here. Quite dark inside here. But these are eggs. These are eggs that were collected over the past 2 days. Quite a number of trays. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Probably a bit more than 2 days, yeah? Because we collect about 60 trays a day. And this is more than 120 trays. So a bit more than 2 days. And they're going to be taken to our shop, our outlet. So this is where we keep the eggs temporarily before they move out. Not ideal, because we also keep some feed inside here. But well, it works, yeah? It works for now. Disinfect the feet before moving up. Okay, there we go. We have a jerry can here with our water. This is our water over here. So some of the drinkers, the water is done. Over here we still have some water, you can see, yeah, but we need to put more water in some drinkers. For example, this one over here, you can see that the water is done. We have nothing. Even over here we have nothing, yeah? So he'll need to put more water. Like I said, you need to be on top of the game, because if you don't have water inside the drinkers, then the birds won't lay eggs, because they need water to lay eggs. Your production will drop if you don't have water inside the drinkers. So he's going to be giving out the water. You can see some of the birds up here. You don't want to have too many birds up on the roosting patches, because if you have too many birds hiding on the patches, usually those are birds that are picked on, and they go up in order to run away from being pecked and being picked on. If you have too many of them, you're in trouble. So I'll see if I push this one down, if it will run away or it will be running away from its colleagues. Okay, they want to go down. Okay, we've sent it down, and let's just observe it a bit. This is the bird over here. It seems to be in good state. It's not being bullied, yeah? If it were being bullied, as soon as it gets down, you'll just see it running and running all around, trying to look for a place to hide. So it's in a good state. It had just come up to chill. Okay? So we have our egg trays. Where are they? These are the egg trays that we use for collecting our eggs. You can see them here, yeah? So these are paper trays. So as you can see, we are picking up our eggs. It involves a bit of humility, because you'll need to get down to the ground in order to pick the eggs. So these are trays, and you can see the eggs being picked up from the different laying boxes. So you want to make sure that you collect the eggs as often as possible to avoid eggs piling up inside the laying boxes, because when eggs remain inside the laying boxes, the chickens can go broody. Going broody means the chickens try to sit on the eggs, because they are trying to incubate them and hatch them, because they are chickens, and the reason naturally they lay eggs is to try to reproduce. So if they remain there for a long time, they'll sit on them. So you want to pick them out as often as possible from all the laying boxes. So my colleague over here is going to move in between the different houses. As you can see, the chickens don't always run out. For example, that inside there still has a chicken. I don't know if you can see it. We'll get close. Yeah, you can see that we have a chicken inside there. Yeah, we have a chicken inside there, and he has been picking eggs out. But the chickens don't move out. So in some of the boxes, the birds will move out. In some of the boxes, the birds won't move out. But you can see our eggs being collected over here. And he's just going to do the same thing all throughout. So we're going to do this maybe 4 or 5 times throughout the day to ensure that, number one, the eggs are collected as often as possible to prevent the birds going broody, also to prevent the eggs from being broken, because if the eggs remain there for a long time, the chickens will start stepping on them, they'll start pecking on them. They keep thinking, what's this thing that's, you know, remaining here for a long time? So you want to make sure that the birds don't go broody and the eggs don't stay a long time. There are a few easy small things that you can do to prevent development of these vices, because when these vices develop, stopping them is so hard, very hard. So you try to prevent them from developing these vices. You collect the eggs as often as possible. Alright guys, so it's many hours later and most of the work has been done during the day. Nothing different, nothing unique. As I'd already told you, putting the water inside the drinkers multiple times a day to ensure that they get access to the vitamins, considering they're not getting water from the tanks. You see, the tanks we have over here. Secondly, collecting the eggs, because collecting the eggs has to be done very many times over the day. Those are the main tasks, ideally. If the water is coming from the tanks, like on most days, then the main thing is simply collecting the eggs throughout the day, because then you're not worried about everything else, and then just monitoring what's happening inside the houses. So the eggs have been collected literally. I don't think we're going to get anything more than what we've already got. So the only thing left right now is reconciling the records. Yeah, so I'll just show you the eggs that we've collected for the day right here in our mini store. It's quite dark inside here, but you can see the egg. And then right here, you can see our records. These are our books where our records for every day are kept. I don't have a computer right here. Soon I will, but everything is put inside the books and it is sent to me as records. This was 15th, and 15th was yesterday. So you can see trays of eggs in each section, 29 for the lower section, 28 for the upper section, damages for each section, i.e. damages in terms of eggs, then remaining eggs from each section, like eggs that are not total trays. So a total of 57 trays produced. Same thing with the feed consumption over here. Yeah, so the lower section, now this is for a bit earlier. Here you can see the information for 13th, the feed consumption for both the lower section and the upper section. Yeah, 125, 125. Unfortunately, they haven't written in here. They have been transferring the information since the book is a bit older. Right here, you can see the production in terms of percentages. Let's move to the most recent. So this is, for example, 5th November. You can see here, and you can see the production in terms of trays. They calculate it very easily. The lower section, the upper section, the number of trays, the eggs, the damages, the total production in terms of number of eggs, then the total production in terms of percentage. Here you can see a very good percentage, 90.7 average. The lower section was 91.8 and the upper section was 89.5, and everything is put down over here. So yes, ideally this is the last section of work that needs to be done for the day. It's getting really dark, it's getting late, and it's starting to drizzle, and so this is our usual routine. It's nothing complicated, you know. Get up, prepare, give the birds feed, and keep the records and have the eggs stored. So then what usually happens is that tomorrow the eggs will be taken to our shop. Yeah, so we do have a shop very close by to ensure that the sales section and the production sections are completely separated, to reduce cases of theft, and also to make accountability quite easy. So we make sure that we don't sell anything right from here at the farm. So that's our that's what we do every day. It's quite easy, nothing complicated at all, and I enjoy it. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. As you can see, I'm not involved a lot in our day at the farm because, hey, I'm no longer really involved directly in the activities. So these guys have to report to me, which is a really nice thing. Yeah, I once used to do a lot of this work. So if this is your very first time on the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell. That way you never miss out on an upload. Lots of love. Catch you very soon with another video. Bye-bye.